Hello, everyone. For our presentation, we decided to look at the 2012 London Olympics marketing campaign. To start off with the objectives, the slogan for the 2012 Olympics was Inspire Generation. So, one of the main goals of this campaign was to increase youth participation in sports both globally and also in London, and to boost the development of sports facilities in London. This was a great objective because it not only promoted sports for the Olympics, but also for the London community. According to gov.uk, the number of children participating in sports increased significantly in the 6 months to September 2012 as excitement around the Olympic and Paralympic Games intensified. And then the second main objective for this campaign was to showcase the UK as creative, inclusive, and welcoming. Hosting an Olympic Games is a way to gain incredible visibility for the host city, which makes this a great goal. The whole world watches the Olympics also, so it's one of the best opportunities for a city and a country to kind of put its best foot forward and improve its overall reputation. The 2012 Games were also mostly held in East London, so the regeneration of that area was also a major goal for this campaign. This tackled two main goals for the city specifically, which one being to restore East London, which improved it both environmentally and economically, and then the second being that London got to kind of showcase a lesser known part of its city, which helped foster more community engagement in the area. And then the fourth and most obvious objective, in my opinion, was to just overall increase the engagement with the games. So this could come in many different forms, including ticket sales, tourism in London, and also online and streaming viewership and online chatter. And I do feel like this is the most obvious goal, but it's also an extremely important one because properly advertising the games in the city at the same time is extremely important for both London as a city and also the Olympic organizations so that people actually watch the events and generate money. And then for the target audience, this campaign needed to be very diverse and global just because the Olympics are a global event, which meant that the target audience needed to be extremely wide. Additionally, this campaign aimed to specifically target 14 to 19-year-olds to increase youth engagement with the Olympics. The Sport Journal said, quote, "Through events and marketing efforts targeting youth, the International Olympic Committee seeks to reignite interest in Olympic sports within a generation of increasingly inactive and overweight adolescents," end quote. This campaign was one of the first to have a digital first approach since social media was kind of just beginning to take off like in the early 2000s. And I think that this was a great idea just because social media was new and popular, and a lot of teens in 2012 were heavily engaged with it. And this campaign also wanted to specifically engage British residents just to help fill the stands at all of the events. And I thought that this was a really smart thing to do because fans from all 200 countries in the Olympics aren't going to be able to make it to the host country every time. So this target audience allowed the stands to look filled both in person and on TV and also help athletes feel supported. And then they also wanted to focus on everyday athletes, which kind of went along with the slogan Inspire Generation. And this allowed the campaign to shift focus from elite athletes, which are often viewed as kind of like unattainable, and back onto everyday people.
Okay, so going off of what Ali said, in 2012, social media was really starting to become popular, which provided the London Summer Olympics the opportunity to be seen in real time on many different platforms. So it was Taylor and Francis came out with an article that surrounded just kind of the social media marketing from the 2012 London Olympics. And they kind of stated that social media doesn't work without people who participate, create, and share content. So their whole goal was kind of to create a system where everyone could have good phone service because they saw it as if people who were watching the Olympics in real time could share what was going on. People from at home could see it. And that's kind of what social media was. So the British Telecom had the responsibility to handle the photos and articles uploaded, the visits to the Olympic website, and the variety of calls and texts that were going in and out. They had the responsibility to just kind of handle all of that and the phone service that was needed. But this was also all of these texts and phone calls and the articles uploaded. That was all going on across 94 different locations. And normally before the 2012 Olympics, there would only be one antenna for the whole entire place. but the British Telecom was able to create multiple antennas to ensure that everyone had prime service. So, like I said, the execution, the British Telecom came up with the distributed antenna system, which is also known as the DAS, which was essentially provided multiple different smaller antennas. So people who were in close proximity were able to get excellent service on their mobile devices. And again, this allowed thousands of people's phones to work well, even though they were in close proximity.
All right, just to kind of touch on outcomes again, I have some bullet points here. The Olympics were able to reach over 200 countries in terms of viewership, which is very high and very good for visibility among the athletes. And they obviously had some really strong sponsors, including Nike, Adidas, and Visa, which also helped the visibility. Again, the 2012 Olympics were also very social media focused and one of the first to be so focused on social media. They basically ranged highly on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. The focus inspired generation also again gave London plenty of good credit along with the UK. They brought a lot of good visibility to that. It brought a lot of light too from the fans. In terms of challenges, kind of the main one is that local non-sponsored vendors basically faced a lot of insult and hurt when they were like basically legally prevented from marketing the games for their country. So like local vendors essentially weren't allowed to market the games at all unless they were sponsors. And a lot of people kind of thought that wasn't fair considering they lived there. So that got a lot of backlash. And obviously sponsorships were exceedingly high, which caused brand issues, but also more issues with the non-sponsored local vendors because they couldn't afford it. Early ticket releases also were an increased concern because a lot of them were being sold on the black market, which raised some questions about whether they were like viable or not, and also kind of just prevented people from buying them. But then also a lot of people, I think, got scammed. And then also several concerns about fast food sponsors. There was a lot of doctors that raised questions about if this was like okay, considering it's like an athlete-rounded event. Why is McDonald's sponsoring an athlete-rounded event? It wasn't a huge thing, but there was a lot of concern about it, and a lot of doctors were kind of questioning it and writing about it. And then the last thing, brand exposure was not difficult in terms of tracking. They were able to track how much visibility a brand got, but in terms of long-term sales, there wasn't as much visibility and as much kind of open viewing on that. So that was kind of an issue for a lot of the brands. And then finally, for our discussion questions, we have, what other strategies or tactics do you think would have made this campaign more successful? 2, at the time, how did these marketing strategies reflect broader trends in event promotion and media culture? And 3, do you think that fast food brands have a marketing place in the Olympics? Why or why not? Do you agree with the doctors kind of like backlashing against that? And that is all we have for you. Thank you very much.